You've heard of the 3-act structure for storytelling, right? But doesn't it seem a little confusing or abstract? I mean, sure, it works in Hollywood films, but what about the 60-second commercial that you're editing right now? There's actually a super simplified way that we can apply the same logic to any edit, and it'll keep your audience intrigued all the way through to the end. And you don't have to memorize tons of plot points to get it right, just 3. It's the same framework I used when earning my Emmy nomination, and it's the same framework Unsplice students are using right now to build captivating work. You'll learn what it is and how you can use it in any edit from now until forever. By the way, my name is Shiny. I'm a video editing mentor and Emmy-nominated documentary and commercial editor that spent the last 15 years working for clients like Vice, BBC, Ogilvy and more. And you're about to learn frameworks that help you understand what storytelling in editing actually is and how you can use it to consistently craft commercials and documentaries that will hook your audience from start to finish so that you can earn £300 to £500 per day as an editor. Are you sat down? Class is in session. By the way, if you want feedback on your editing, then head to the link in the description, because if you submit your edit or your portfolio, I will pick 4 people to give feedback to every single month for free. I'll help you understand exactly the mistakes you're making. I'll give you some frameworks to help you improve your editing so that you can increase your skill level and charge more. Why does the traditional 3-act structure feel so useless on day-to-day edits? Well, it hasn't probably helped you yet, and here's why. Typically, you're told Act 1 is the setup. Act 2 is the conflict. And Act 3 is the resolution. I mean, that's all well and good, right? But what if you're editing footage of somebody just talking about their business, a talking head, a corporate video, or a product demonstration, or a documentary interview? Where's the conflict in that? The problem is the traditional language of the 3-act structure is designed for screenplays and writers and not editors working with real footage. And so you kind of sleep on it. You don't think it's relevant to you as an editor, especially on a day-to-day edit. The problem is, if you skip this in every single edit, then what you're creating feels flat. It feels a little aimless, or even worse, contrived. It doesn't keep the viewer engaged all the way through, and it just feels like a string of facts. This happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened. But we can take the ideas within the 3-act structure, which make every story interesting, beginning, middle, end, right? We all know about this. It was Aristotle that came up with this framework a long time ago. But what we can do is reword this in one simple way so that it's easy to remember and we can apply it to every single edit. What we're going to do is change these. To past, present, and future. And what that means is we now have a journey. No matter what edit we are creating, we can use the past, present, future framework to keep the audience engaged. I'll give you an example. In a recent mentoring session, Martin was editing a commercial for some sleep earplugs. And initially it was a product-based commercial. We just showed the different use cases for the product. And it felt a bit flat, like an infomercial, just boom, this, buy the product. And so we applied the past, present, future framework to this. And that meant now we show the struggle. In the past, we would show the struggle, the person tossing and turning, exhausted because they can't sleep, the emotional state of the person before they started using the earplugs. Then the present, which is them using the earplugs, putting them in. And then the future is the transformation. peaceful sleep, waking up refreshed, improved life quality, all those good things. Same product, but now there's a journey, a before and after, that creates an emotional investment, and it makes you realize the benefit of the product. And it also creates this journey that you kind of want to see through, all the way through to the end. So how does this work exactly? Well, the past, that is your contextual and emotional stakes, everything that happened before. And in its very essence, is a kind of like why. And when you share this, you're talking about why they're doing something. We're not thinking about that as we're building the footage and we're putting the footage together. We're just thinking about, okay, what's the past state, what's the present state, and what's the future state? But the reality is, by just thinking about the past, we're creating a purpose for this person to do something. In the sleep example, we're giving the purpose is because they're having sleepless nights. That's the reason why they're going to try the earplugs and then have success doing it. But the way that we were looking at it and building this edit was literally just past, they did that, present, they're doing that, future, and this is the result. So the present, this is all about what's happening right now, the purpose of the video that we're watching, essentially. The thing they're doing, building, or changing, it's the core content, the what, if you will, of the edit. And it kind of puts everything into perspective. We watch the thing being done. And then the future, it's all about the stakes, the payoff. Where is this going? And what's at stake if they succeed or fail? You know, they don't have to succeed. They could fail. What are the repercussions of that? The impact and the legacy. Like, why does this matter beyond this moment? And so every story, every edit, no matter how simple, has these three elements. And it's your job as an editor to just find the footage and structure it. And this is the best place to start when you want to build some kind of story into your edit. Start with this framework. You can think of it like this. The past gives you the why. The present gives you the what. And the future gives you so what. And together they create a compelling emotional arc. So how does this translate to actual stories and actual commercials and documentaries? Many Unsplice students have battled with what dialogue to put where in their edit, especially when it comes to documentaries, because you've got hours and hours of dialogue and you're just overwhelmed and you don't know where to start. But this framework gives you a really simple lens through which to view all of the footage and split it into sections. In one example film, which Unsplice students get to cut from the footage library, Mike spends his childhood with his grandmother on his land, and she was the person that he admired most. She farmed it using traditional biodynamic methods, and when she passed away, the land was sold off and that connection was lost. So that's everything that happened in the past. And then the present is Mike now buying the land back and restoring it back to the biodynamic farming methods that his grandmother used to do. So he's literally recreating what she built. And then the future is all about the repercussions. What are the plans? How do we secure this land for his own generation, for his own children and future generations, passing that same thing down that he was passed down from his grandmother. And so now all of a sudden we know what footage we're looking for. We can bank it all together and go, oh, this is past, we'll put it over there, and I'll look at it when I'm trying to build Act 1. This is all dialogue from the present, I'll bank it all in this section, and I know I need this when I'm building out Act 2, etc. So how does this translate to corporate work? Well, if you imagine a logistics company with just talking head videos, interviews, and executives talking about their new tracking system. So in the past, We could say, we used to lose shipments. Clients would call us frustrated. We had no visibility into where anything was. Present. Now we've implemented real-time tracking across our entire fleet, and every package has a digital footprint. And future, this means we can guarantee delivery windows and scale to handle triple our current volume without adding overhead. Same boring corporate interviews, but now it has a transformation arc, which is problem, solution, impact, or past, present, future. How does this translate to a commercial? Let's say you're creating a coffee commercial or something without dialogue. How do we actually translate that? Well, imagine if you wanted to create this, you could create this from stock footage, but the past would be an empty kitchen, maybe at dawn, sunrise. Some person is looking exhausted and unmotivated. I think we can all appreciate that feeling. Present is them making the coffee. Aroma fills the space. They take that first sip. And then future is that person energized, heading out the door with purpose, ready to tackle the day. It's all the things that they did throughout the day and what that meant when they got home in the evening. No dialogue needed. The transformation from before coffee to after coffee creates an entire journey. So you can see how we can use this framework across absolutely everything. It makes everything feel less one-dimensional. So how do we do this in our own edits? 3 steps. Step 1, you've got to find this footage. Sift through all of your B-roll, your dialogue, everything to find and categorize your past, present, and future stuff. Don't spend too long doing this. You don't want to be watching everything back in real time, but you can do it in a very clunky manner and go, okay, this is kind of right. Throw it in there. Then you can start to bring stuff down into your timeline. So when you put it onto your timeline, you're going to bring it on in this order: past, present, future, and then back to the beginning of your timeline to drop in the hook. So it sits before past. So you're going to open with a hook, something to grab the audience, give some context, or just tease. And you're going to be looking at all of the other footage that you have dropped on the timeline already, apart from past, present, future, to find the most intriguing bit, the most relevant bit, and then bring that to the hook. Now you've got a strong story structure. And then step 3, to get a little deeper and build an emotional core, or rather an emotional bond with the audience so they actually care and want to pay attention and want to watch, you have to find some kind of emotional bond. And you do that with the 5 whys framework, which I will link to. We've done in a previous episode. Quite simply, to get to the emotional reason of why someone is doing something, you have to ask why 5 times. By the time you get to the 5th answer of why, you get to the very emotional core of why someone is doing something. And when you communicate that with the audience, they care. It's instant. Their motives are not selfish. And so we connect and we care. By the way, if you've implemented this or would like some help implementing it and want some feedback, then you can get free feedback from myself. There's a link down in the description. Submit your edit or your portfolio for feedback, and I will pick 4 people per month to get free feedback. I'll give you some frameworks on how you can improve your edit and tell you exactly how you can improve so that you can charge more for your editing work. So the past, present, future framework works whether you're editing a 90-second ad or a 20-minute documentary, because it maps into how humans naturally process stories, beginning, middle, end. We understand where you've been, where we are, and where we're going. And if you need more help on understanding the 3-act structure, then I highly recommend you check out this episode on the 3-act structure.